Okay, so since you've done the readings, you'll find the quiz was super easy. The two types of mindsets are fixed mindset and growth mindset. You may have learned some of these in either other classes or videos or whatever. So I don't want to assume you all know all of this. So if you've already heard it, just go with me on this because we're going to apply it a little bit different than what you might have been used to. So, fixed mindset. Many of us have this where we come into something and if we don't know it, if it's hard for us, meh, I don't want to do it. It's too hard. I'm not smart enough. Well, that's because you have a fixed mindset. The fixed mindset is the assumption that intelligence is fixed. You're born with a certain level of smartness. That's the idea of a fixed mindset, right? Well, I'm just not smart enough. You can be smart enough. You choose not to be. That's the difference. So, fixed mindset is assuming that when you are born with a certain amount of smarts and that's it. You can't go any smarter. Well, that's actually false. And we know that because all the research that we have done and we see recognizes the fact that you can actually continuously become smarter and smarter. If that's the word we're going to use here, right? So intelligence is not fixed. All right. Growth mindset. That's the mindset that I want you to have throughout this entire class because you might come across something where you're going to get frustrated or it's going to be hard and you're not going to want to do it. Those are the times when you want to push yourself, okay? It shouldn't be easy. One, we're in college, and then two, if it were easy, what are you learning, right? So, maybe you don't recognize why it's easy, and maybe it comes easy to you because you have past experience, or it's not easy for you because you don't have past experience. So, I want you to recognize that your literacy, your understanding of things all of it is really coming from your experience, right? And your ability to have critical thinking skills. So your literacy is a choice, right? You choose to, continue to keep doing it, right? Like, so if I give you a lot of readings, the more reading you do, the more experience you have and the more practice, which makes you more literate, right? Or more experienced. Critical thinking is the idea that the more information I give you, the more you're willing to go, oh, it turns out I have to change the way I saw something because I have been given new information that tells me otherwise, right? So once you start getting this information, you start to develop your literacy. And when you start to develop your literacy, ta-da, you start to work or start to improve your composition. Tongue tied over here. All right. So once you start getting your literacy, you start becoming a better composer because you're using experience and critical thinking, right? So keep going back to those formulas that are on module 1 and it'll help you. So hopefully you've gone through module 1 before you jumped into this because otherwise you're going, what? Okay, again, composition is identity and literacy. So anyway, that being the case, I want you to focus on being a growth mindseted person. And that means willing to push yourself when you feel like you're stuck. That also means reaching out to me if you have questions. Okay. Don't be afraid. Do not be afraid of the fact that you might not know something. And that's okay. I mean, if you knew everything, what would be the point of taking, school? You know everything. And even as someone, I have 2 master's degrees and I still have days where I'm like, I guess I just didn't know that. And that's okay. And I recognize that. And the more I know, the more I realize I don't know anything at all. And that's the beauty of life. Okay. So don't be afraid of the fact that some of this stuff might be hard. And that's the goal, is to push you. So don't be afraid of it. Just keep plugging along. And I promise you, at the end of this, you'll be very surprised at yourself. So just keep going. Okay. The importance of learning these two different mindsets is understanding about, when we use this word smart, a lot of times with a fixed mindset, we just want to look smart. We don't want to look like we're struggling. And it's ego, right? Our ego is in the fixed mindset versus, a growth mindset, which enjoys learning. I would love for you to have this pleasure in learning something new versus it being easy. Okay. If you are a fixed mindset, you're going to care whether or not you look smart, right? You will reject opportunities for growth. You will be mad at me because I asked something of you that you didn't feel either comfortable doing or willing to do, or it felt too hard. I want you to be fluid and open to what it is we do in this class, because it's unique and it's different. And it's not the English class you were anticipating. It's a lot of personal growth and looking inside of ourselves so that we can look outside of ourselves and recognize other people. That's the whole goal of this, right? Understanding who we are by our experiences and the experiences of others. And first and foremost, the thing we need to recognize is what gets in our way. And it's usually fear and ego. So if you can get rid of those, you can go, you know what? I suck at this. It is what it is. And then just keep moving forward. Is it easy and does it happen overnight? Not necessarily. Maybe by some blessing you might get that. But do recognize that growth is not necessarily easy, but it is absolutely worth it. Okay, so just keep that in mind as you move forward. Put a little sign somewhere, growth is worth it. Growth is absolutely worth it. And that's what we're going to do here. All right, so what else do we got here? We are not born smart. That's just life. There are some people who are amazing at things. Why? How? Who knows? Maybe that's just an experience. Maybe it was something that, came easy to them for some reason. And then sometimes things are really hard. I had a nuclear fusion professor that I used to work with at UCLA, and he worked in nuclear fusion. If you know anything about that, you got to be pretty dang smart, as it were. But he wasn't smart in all things. And he would be in his office behind me, and you can hear him clacking around on his computer. And one day, you can hear him pounding on the keyboard, and he's yelling and screaming. And I run back there. I'm like, what's happening? He's like, the letters are deleting. The letters are deleting. And he's like super frustrated and angry. Well, I'm in panic mode. So I'm like, IT. Call the IT guy. The IT guy goes over there and takes him about 2 seconds. And he comes back out of the office. And I'm like, what was it? And he goes, he had the insert key pushed. You push the insert key and it inserts over the other letters. So if ever there's a time where you are feeling like you don't get it, don't worry. The smartest minds of our world, they don't get all the things. And so my goal here is to understand who we are as humans. And once you understand humanity, the rest of the world starts to make more sense. So once we understand us, we understand the world. Why do I keep repeating that? Because it matters. Okay. All right. So as a growth mindset, be willing to lose and be willing to fail. Okay. And that means maybe you didn't do it right the first time, but you have other times. There's always an opportunity for growth and to do better. I just want you to keep that in mind so that you don't fixate so much on, say you do really bad on an assignment, or I have to take points away because you didn't read all the things that I asked. I'm like, I got to, I'm sorry, it was right there. That being the case, slow down, pause, and take a look at everything I give you, okay? In this world of technology and TikTok and Instagram and scrolling and button pushing, I find often with students the urge is to click, 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 push, 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 go, go, go. Slow down, read the thing, watch the video. Even if you have to put me in your, you're at the gym and you've got the iPhones or the earpods in, you can do that. I just want you to make sure you're watching all this so that you recognize that there's a lot of information to give you, and I want to give it to you as best as I can. So in other words, watch all the things and read all the things. It'll be to your benefit. All right. All things take practice. This class won't be as easy as pushing a button and getting the treat. Okay. So take a minute, do the work, and also pay attention to the details. Whether or not it's, what I'm asking in the, when I give you a question, it's going to seem long. I know you're going to be frustrated. Like, oh, there's so much. Slow down, take it in bites, and just take it one step at a time. You don't have to do it all at once. Recognize that there's going to be some things that we're going to have a lot coming at you, and recognize that. Okay. Give yourself time. I give you everything ahead of time. There should be no questions. I'll tell you how long the videos are going to be, quizzes you'll be able to see. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Let's see here. So because a fixed mindset believes that just about every worthwhile pursuit involves effort over a long period of time, this potentially is a crippling belief that not only in school, but also in life. So fixed mindset is crippling sometimes. It gets in the way of your success. All right. So don't let that growth mindset get in the way of where you could be. Failing or not doing well at something has no reference to who you are as a person. So, like in class, if I'm grading you and you don't get an A right off the bat, it is not a personal attack. It has nothing to do with your value as a person. The only thing is, it is showing you a place for growth. When you get a low grade, it's only a place for growth. Okay, so recognize that. Don't panic and freak out and get angry at yourself or angry at me or whoever. Take time and go, what did I do wrong on this one? How come I lost points? And ask yourself, did you give yourself enough time to do it correctly? Did you read everything and make sure you knew exactly what it was asking you? Ask yourself these things. So, your first instinct when you get a bad grade is going to point at me and yell at me. But then I'll ask, well, did you read the directions? Did you see that part where I said respond to 3 of your peers, right? These little things that maybe we just don't have time for. I don't want to do that. If that's your choice, that's your choice. And unfortunately, it will reflect in grades, because there are things that I look for in your how are you, when I do an assessment, like, where are you at? Are you doing the things that I need? That's how the grading goes. I hate grading, but I have to do it. And it just kind of is to give you where are you at? I'm like, these are the things that I need you to improve on. And that's all it is. That's all it is. So don't take grades as a personal, it has nothing, it is not a reflection on you as a person. It is purely just an opportunity for growth. Okay? I hope that I have beat that in your head. Okay. So, if you have a fear of looking or feeling dumb, I hope you can find a way to let go of that. In this class, I do recognize that it is challenging. So recognize that it will have potential for be challenging. And some of you might be like, oh, it's not hard at all. I totally get it. I don't know. This is a thing. And then some of you might be like, dude, this class sucks. This is hard. And the hard part will be giving it time and giving yourself time. Okay. So don't think online is just a bunch of buttons. And I say this because I get this a lot with my online classes. Take your time. Okay. All right. Something to recognize is, where do we get said fixed mindset? Like, where does this come from? And is this something that we just automatically get? No. It comes from experience. And experience will be something like, you have teachers or parents who are like, you are so smart. You got that so quickly. You are so smart. Or you're so good at that. Giving something where it's this weird value on a thing that shouldn't be given value. Shouldn't be given value on someone on whether or not they're smart, or whether or not they're good at something. That's the issue. When a fixed mindset, when you're being given, value in something about being smart or good at something, you're gonna get someone imploding on themselves when the first time it happens that something is hard. So you'll notice in my feedback, a lot of it is going to be like, I'll tell you what I recognize in your work, and I will tell you what I'm going to need more of or from you. So always check your comments, because I give a lot of feedback. If a student is told, or you are told, I like the way you did that, or I saw how much work you put into that, or I appreciated that you were willing to try this even though you were uncomfortable. Because I want you to know that I absolutely appreciate you willing to put forth effort in something that's going to make you uncomfortable, because this class potentially will make you uncomfortable, and that's okay, because I'm giving you new ideas and new thoughts about things that maybe you've thought of before, maybe you haven't, maybe things you don't even want to think about. Okay, so give yourself permission to be uncomfortable and to be willing to try. That's a growth mindset, and that is what I look for. Okay, and you can even make a note. I feel uncomfortable and unsure about this. Is this right? Okay. And we're going to talk about cultural competency next. Okay. To kind of help you out. All right. So I just want you to know that you are not born smart and you are not born good at things. It all takes practice. Okay. And first and foremost, I'm going to give you a quick little video of Tina Belcher and how she actually had a growth mindset in her junior lifeguard experience. It's a music montage, so just go with it. But like visually, maybe you can recognize how she did not do well at first, but kept pushing forward until she was doing better. So take a look and I'll be back.